Hello there. In this video I'm going to show you how you can recreate the ring that's shown on the screen there using a UK P plus size, an emerald gem that's about 5mm in size, and a 4-leaf Celtic knot pattern wrapped around the ring as well. The important thing to understand about this is that a lot of these objects are available if you purchase the software from us to use with Fluid Designer for 3D printing. And make your life a lot easier if you purchase those objects. And so the Celtic knot pattern, for instance, is available as Celtic knot jewellery software. And as you can see by the icon here, this is a curve. It's not a mesh, it's a curve object, and we like working with curves. The main ring itself is a curve, and the prong claws and the prong ring are also curves. Only the emerald, which you wouldn't actually be printing, is a mesh. Now the emerald is free with Fluid Designer for 3D printing. That is available in the free software. So how are we going to create this ring? So first of all, we go to File and New, and we go to the Rings folder. And I'm going to use this object here, which is all UK sizes, and it's a twin ring. And this is an object that I use for creating a lot of different rings. So what is this? Well, first of all, let's always remember when using Fluid Designer for 3D printing to never go to File and Save As. Normally we recommend you go to File and Export as STL files. Here we're going to suggest that you actually use Save As. Make sure you don't write on top of the original template file. Go to File and Save As, and I'm going to go to the desktop, and I'm going to save this object as UK P plus. It's an emerald gem that I'm going to use, and a 4-leaf Celtic knot pattern, and it's a ring that I'm going to create. So that's the name that I'm going to give to this file. So save that as a Blender file on the desktop. Now, what is this default object? Well, if I just open up the panel here, a couple of things that we can say about it is in the Properties panel, if I click on Curve Data Information, you can see that the bevel object is 1.5mm by 1.5mm. That gives me the thickness around this curve. Now I'm going to change that from 1.5 by 1.5 to a cross section of 1 by 1. So using these bevel objects cross sections here, I can set any size that I want. So I've just reduced the thickness of my basic rings there. So that's the first thing that I can change. And the second thing is, if I go to the modifiers, you can see that this ring is made up of a couple of mirror modifiers and a set the ring size curve modifier. If I just open up the ring modifiers, and if I just remove the X there, you can see what that's doing is duplicating the ring on both sides. That's what that mirror modifier is doing. And this modifier is duplicating the ring here. So if I switch both of those off, that's the basic default object, and that is in fact just a NURBS path that I've just adjusted to this basic outline shape which I use to create my rings. Switched on the wrong ones there, so it's the Z one I want there and the X-axis there to duplicate it. Now the other thing that we've got here is that we can change the ring size of this object. The size at the moment, if we look in the outliner window, is this default ring size. So we've got the default ring and we've got the default ring size here. Well, I want to use UK ring size P plus, so I'll just switch on the view for that object. So that's the size that I want to create my ring to, UK size plus. So I can hide the default size, but to set my ring to this new UK size, I need to set the ring size, and I need to change this from the default size H plus. I'm just scrolling the center mouse button, and I want size P plus 18.14. So you can see that that's modified it. Now, as you can see, my ring is not quite the right size at the bottom here, and I need to extend it at the top as well. So if I I'll just switch on screencast keys. If I just move that panel back here, if I go to view and front view, and if I press the tab key to go into edit mode, you can see this is the NURBS path that the ring is made up of. And what I want to do is, if I press the A key on the keyboard and press the A key again, that will select all of those points. Now if I just move this 1 unit to the left, oops, I've gone 2 I think there. If I just press the tab key, yeah, you can see I've gone 2. I've merged it too much there. So if I press tab key again to go to edit mode and just go to view and front, let me just zoom in. I just want to move it 1 unit back to the right. Let me just view it again. Well, I still haven't moved it. Just move it 1 to the right. Yep, there we are, that's better. So I've just positioned the end of this now so it's just touching the other side of the ring. Remember, this is a mirror modifier that's creating this. Now there is a bit of a hole there which I want to fill in. So if I just go to view and front again, and if I just press the tab key, so what I want to do is this end here, which is the open end, if I just use the properties panel here, I want to just move this slightly to the left. I don't want to move it a large amount, so I just click there a couple of times, and then if I press the tab key to come out, you can see that my hole has gone now. So instead of moving it 1 complete millimetre, I've just moved it a small amount. So the other side of the object, I want to extrude it so I can fill it in more at the top here like it was originally. So if I go to view and front again, and I'll just move that back, and if I just go into edit mode, so this side I want to extrude it out a few millimetres. So if I press E on the keyboard, that will extrude it, and I like to just extrude it 1 millimetre at a time. And what that does, it ensures that I get a nice smooth surface finish to my ring because of the number of faces that are created in each of these sections. Now I can still extrude that a little bit more, so if I just go to view and front again, and if I press the tab key to go into edit mode, and if I just zoom in and I press E to extrude, and I'll extrude it 1 more time. Whoa! Careful not to extrude it too far here. Yeah, 1 unit at a time. And that should be okay now. So I'm going to press A key on keyboard to deselect that control point and come out of edit mode now. So you can see that I've extruded the ring up to the top. Now I might want to make some changes to that a little bit later on. Now the other thing that I want to do is I want to put a Celtic knot pattern here, so I need to open this up a little bit as well. So again, if I go to view and front view, if I press the tab key to go into edit mode, and if I select all of those control points and just move in, I'm just going to move it down 1 millimetre. That will give me a width here of about 5 millimetres for my ring. So if I press the tab key, you can see to go back to normal mode, you can see what's happened there. But I haven't got my overlap now, so I need to adjust these points also. So view and front, go into edit mode. Now I don't want all the control points selected, I just want some of them. So I'll select that control point and that control point there. And if I just move those up 1 millimetre, that's closed up the gap there, but I need to adjust this a little bit more. So I could try it like that. Yeah, that's okay. So that's overlapping now. So if I go back into normal mode, you can see I've got my overlapping pattern there. I've got my ring closed at the bottom. So essentially I've just opened this up and then just closed up those joints there. So I'm going to now put a Celtic knot pattern in between the ring there. Okay, so that's all I want to actually do to this object. So I have made sure that I've saved this on the desktop, so I can use file and save now rather than save as. and I won't be making any changes to my original template file. So where's my Celtic knot pattern going to come from? Well, that's also on my system. So if I go to File and New, in the Rings folder, there are lots and lots of patterns available with Fluid Designer for 3D printing, and you can purchase these as one block or as individual ones, and all these patterns work in a similar sort of way. Now what I want to do is I'm going to use this Celtic knot 4-leaf pattern. Now you could simply create a ring from this pattern itself, just by making changes to the count around there. You can change the ring, and as we change the ring size in the ring that we're making today to size P+, I'm going to do that as well here. So if I switch on the P+ curve, that's the curve there on the outside now, I can switch off the default size, and if I select my Celtic knot ring, in the modifiers here I can also set the ring size. I can change it from the default inner diameter to this new size, which is what we're using today, which is P+ 18.14, and you can see that the ring has adjusted to that size. So there's my pattern at the moment. Now it's still not quite finished. We set the thickness, the cross section, to 1 by 1 with the ring that we're creating today. Now at the moment this is a circular cross section diameter of 1 millimeter, so I need to change this size. So if I change this to 1 by 1 as well, so I want a cross section of 1 by 1, you can see that it gives me that new shape there. Now always when you change things in working with rings like this, always check that the ring size is fitting correctly on the inside there. Sometimes it does move about a little bit. Now I don't actually need all of those patterns there, so I could just change the count down to 1, which is actually the default pattern for this Celtic knot. So there's the default 4-leaf Celtic knot pattern that we're going to use, and what I want to do is to save this now. Now don't go to File and Save. This is a template file that you've opened up here. Always go to File and Save As, and I'm going to save this to the desktop, and I always delete the word master at the end of the file name there to indicate that I'm not using the template file anymore. I'm not writing on top of it, so I save that as a Blender file. So now what I can do is I can go back to my outline ring that we created a few minutes ago. So it's UK P+ Emerald Gem 4-leaf Celtic knot ring. So there's my ring there, and what I want to do now is to append the Celtic knot pattern that I've just been working with. So if I go to File and Append and go to the desktop, there's the Celtic knot ring with the 4-leaf pattern, and we always append objects in Fluid Designer, and I want the Celtic knot ring 4-leaf pattern object, and I append that from the library, and as you can see it's dragged it into my current workspace. So if I just highlight that pattern, now you can see that that's clearly going to be too big. So what we want to do is we want to scale it down a bit. So if I just go to view, and if I just view it from the front view, and we want it to fit inside here. So if I do, I've highlighted the Celtic knot pattern. If I do S, well, let me just switch on screencast keys again so you can see what I'm doing. Just switch on screencast keys. If I press the S key on the keyboard to scale this, looks like I didn't switch on screencast keys there, but anyway, if I type, well no, I want to fit this in exactly inside here, don't I? So I'll just scale it down to there at the moment. Okay, now that's looks like it's scaled it down to the right sort of size. Now whenever you scale in Fluid Designer, you must always, whenever you scale a curve, you must always ensure that you automatically do Control A and apply the scale, and notice that that puts the thickness back, and the thickness is looking a little bit weird now. And that's essentially because we've just got too much material wrapped around this curve. So we want to modify that, and we need to thin it out. So if I just go to the curve data information, you can see the object that I'm using at the moment is this cross section 1 by 1 millimeter. So if I have a look over here in the outliner window, I want to select that object. So that's the object which is currently being used to create the thickness for this Celtic knot pattern. And so I want to change that. So it is currently 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. Now just unlock those. I want them locked. So I'm going to change this down, and I'm going to change it to, I think if I change this to something like 0.6 millimeters, you can see I've now got a gap in my pattern there. Now clearly you are going to have to be able to print this ring on a machine that's capable of printing at this size. Okay. Now again, whenever you do scale something, always do Control A and apply the scale, otherwise you will have problems with 3D printing this. And I'm just going to change that to 0.6 because I have changed that from 1.1 now as my bevel object. So if I highlight the pattern again, now I need to now position this so that it fits inside my ring here. So the first thing I'm going to do is again go to View and Front, and I want to move it a little bit, and I think I've probably got to move it to the left. So if I press the Tab key to go into edit mode, if I just try moving this object a couple of times to the left and press the Tab key, okay, it's moving it in the opposite direction, as you can see there. Sometimes things work back to front when you're working with this. So if I go to front again, so if I just move it back, I moved it 2 places before. If I just move it another couple of places to the right this time, you can see that's now positioned it at the start of my ring there. But we have got another issue here, and that is that it's not quite right on the inside here. Well, I can sort that out as well. If I go to View and Top View, and I've still got that Celtic knot pattern highlighted, if I go into tab mode, you can see that this is not touching the bottom of the red line here, the x-axis. So I need to move my object up slightly until it's just touching the bottom there. Now I think I've probably got to type in 0.5 millimeters there, so I just need to adjust it so that the bottom of the Celtic knot pattern is just on the x-axis. And if I press the Tab key now, you can see it's now positioning it nicely exactly inside of the ring there. So what do we want to do with this pattern? Well, we want to duplicate it a few times now. Well, if I go to modifiers, you can see we've already got some modifiers applied here. So if I just click that a few times, I can add in some extra pattern there, and I can change the offset and fill it up around the ring. So I'm going to set it at 1.2 in this instance. And do I need one more? Well, actually I probably need to bring that down to 1 because we don't want it quite going right up to the top perhaps. But you can, as you can see, you can play around with that pattern. So these modifiers were brought from the original file that was on your system. Now the only thing I want to do now is to mirror it on the other side. So what I can do is I can add a mirror modifier, and you can see that I can immediately replicate that pattern evenly on the other side of the ring. Okay, so we've got our Celtic knot pattern in there now, and the only thing we need to do is if we go to View and Top View now, we want to add a gem to this. So I'll just move that out of the way. I'm just going to go File and Save, and just save my work. Now the gems are available on your system, or basically the gemstones are available on your system. But on my system, if I just click Group Library there, I've got some gem settings with 4 prongs already on the system, and if I just open up the window there and just move this down, so I'm going to use this emerald setting, 4-prong setting, and I'm going to need to append it to here. If I just drag and drop this onto the workspace, my work will disappear. I've always got to append in Fluid Designer. So I'm going to go to File and Append, go up through the menu system. Oh, that's not quite the right one. Let me go to Recent. Yeah, let me go to 3D Templates. Just go up through the menu system. I'm looking for the Groups folder. All my patterns in Fluid Designer are in the Fluid Designer folder in the Groups folder. And I need this gem setting 4-prong. And I'm going to use an emerald setting. So I'm going to select this 4-prong 10mm emerald setting. And I'm going to select the object. Now I don't want the cross sections here. I don't want the default ring. I just want the emerald and the inner and outer claws and the ring itself. So all the other objects are just UK sizes and cross sections. It's just these objects, but not the ring. So I can append these from the library. And you can see that brings in a gem there. And so if I just let me just go through my oops, yep, there we are. So if I just select my emerald, okay, I'm having to work with a small window here in order to video it properly. When you're working with Fluid Designer, these windows are normally a bit bigger. Now the default size for these gems is 10mm. That's the default size. So I want to scale this down. So if I just, I'll just switch on screencast keys. So if I press the S key on the keyboard and type 0.5 and just do Control A and apply the scale. Not so important here because we're not going to print that object. So there's my gem now, which is a nice 5mm size. That's the gem size I'm going to work to. So I now need to adjust this object here, the ring, and I need to set that down to 5mm as well. So I'm going to scale that by the same amount, 0.5. Now because this is a curve object, and we can see that it's a curve object over here, you must make sure that you do Control A and apply the scale, and you'll see the thickness of the object bulk up as you do that. Now if I just go to View and View and Top View, I can reposition my gem now, because after scaling it I can reposition it there, and I can reposition this so that it fits. So I'm gonna leave it there, and I'm just going to set my origin to the cursor for that particular object. Not terribly important, but I'm just going to do it anyway. And I'm just going to switch the snap off so that I can just move the gem up so that it just fits snugly there above the ring, and switch the snap back on again now. So I've just scaled my gem down to 5mm, and I've just scaled this ring down to 5mm as well. So if I go to View and Back View, I'm looking down on the gem and the 4-prong ring around it, and what I need to do now is I need to use one of these claws and reposition that. So I've just highlighted a claw there. Now these claws are basically have got mirrors attached to them, so we only need to move one of them. So if I go into edit mode, and essentially the claws are just they're essentially just a NURBS path, so they've just got a control point at the top and the bottom. So I just need to press the A key on the keyboard to ensure that I highlight both the control points. And if I just go to View and Back View again, what I can do is I can reposition that claw and just zoom in there. I just need to reposition it so that it's in the corner of my ring itself. Now at this point I'm going to have to switch off the snap and just move that in slightly there. And if I now just change my view setting, you can see what we've got here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come out of edit mode. I'm not going to use these outer claws in this lesson, so I'm just going to highlight those and press X on the keyboard and delete them. So I'm just going to use these claws. So we just now need to position these. So if I press the tab key to go into edit mode, and I'm just going to try and position the bottom of that now, so I'm going to need to move it up slightly and move it across and move it down so that it fits into the end of the ring there. Now that's almost okay. And so if I just let me just go to view and view from the back again, that gives me a view down on the gem. And I'm just going to position the top of the object a little bit better. Okay, now you can clearly play around with this as much as you like until you really are happy with it. Now you've got to make sure that you don't overlap here, because you do want the gem itself to still be able to fit in. So I'm just manipulated the top of the object there, and I'm just positioning the bottom of it as well. Now the thing to do at this point is if I just come out of edit mode there, and if I just select my ring again, and if I go to view and front view for the ring, and if I press the tab key to go into edit mode, I can just delete the last control point there. And if I just go back to normal view and just see where that is, now that's okay. That's just matching up with my claw there. Now another neat thing that I can do is I can fatten up the end of this ring. And I can do that by going into edit mode. Just make sure that the end control point is selected. And if you just open up the properties panel, what we can do, and I'll just zoom in on this, if I change the radius here, you can see that it thickens up the end of my ring there. So if I set it at, let's say, let me set it that at 1.2, and I'll select the next control point and select the thickness of that as 1.1, so I get a kind of taper effect. And then if I just press the tab key to return to normal view and just zoom in here, we can see what we've got. So I've just fattened up the end of this. Now what that's going to do is going to enable me to fit this claw in a little bit better. I think I'm probably going to fatten it up just a little bit more. So if I just zoom to selected, view front. So I'm going to set that radius at 1.2, the end one at a radius of 1.3, and then I'm going to set this one at a radius of 1.1. So we've gone 1.3, 1.2, 1.1, and that's just thickened up the end of the ring there. So if I go back to the normal view now, there's my ring. And if I just zoom in now, and what I want to do, I'll just move that out of the way. I just want to go back into edit mode now and just adjust the claws so that it fits nicely there. Okay, so the claw is fitting in nicely. Just go into wireframe mode and make sure that the bottom of the claw is not sticking out of the bottom. Otherwise you may have problems when you run it through Netfab. That looks okay. So we might want to just move it that way a little bit so that it's not sticking out of the end. Now clearly when you receive this, you could tidy up the end here with a file or a grinder, just to smoothen the surface off at the very end. But that's essentially it now. There's my oh no, I do need to lengthen the claws now. So if I just go to view and top view, if I just go into edit mode here, it's a good idea that these claws, and I'll just switch on the snap again. It's a good idea that these claws are about 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't want anything shorter than about 4 millimeters, because that needs to be folded over and then cut back in order to hold the gem in place. And you can't fold it over so easily if this is too short. But yeah, that's essentially it now. So if I just go to File and Save. Now what we want to do now is to join all of these, well, convert all of these objects to meshes and then just join them together. So on the menu here, if I just go to Tools, Object Tools, and convert the claws to a mesh, and if I just convert that to a mesh, go to Tools, Object Tools, and convert the ring to a mesh, and then Tools, Object Tools, and convert the pattern to a mesh. And then if I just highlight everything now, so I'm holding down the Shift key and I'm just highlighting, first of all I'm highlighting those 3 objects, and I'm just going to join them together. And then I'm going to hold down the Shift key and highlight the ring itself last, and join them together. Now notice I'm not using a Boolean object here to do this, and I'm just going to highlight the gem and I'm just going to delete that. So there's my ring now, and I've just used join to merge it all together, and I'm going to allow NetFab to sort out any internal problems that oh sorry, I just need to double check that that's all one object. It is. Okay, now at this stage what I would do is export this as either an OBJ or as an STL file. So if we go to File and Export, I'm going to export it as an STL today, I don't usually do that, and export it to the desktop. So it's UKP plus Emerald Gem 4-leaf Celtic knot ring. Now the beautiful thing about using curves here is that as long as you make sure that they fit each other correctly, don't stick out of the other side, etc., you'll get a nice smooth finish to your ring, and you won't need to worry about using booleans. And so there's it exported. Now what you need to do to finish this off is to go to NetFab Basic, and if you go to Open and go to Desktop, and if you open that file, that STL file, I'm pretty confident, although we'll get an error message when we open this up, yeah, we have done, all I need to do is run the repair routine, and if I click update there and run automatic repair and execute it, I'm pretty sure that NetFab's actually going to do this okay. It's certainly worked every other time that I've tried it. Okay. So if we just update that, you can see that there's no border edge or orientation problem. So all we need to do is to apply the repair and remove the old part. And if I just move my window across here, now I'm probably still going to get a slight error message as I save this, but not to worry, I'm sure NetFab's going to fix it. So I just go to Part and export it. Export it as an STL file, and I just like to write on top of the original one. And sometimes you might get an error message here. Yes, we've got a few degenerate triangles and manifold edges, but again, if you just click Optimize, I'm pretty confident that there's not too many issues there, and I'm pretty confident that NetFab will actually repair this, and you'll get a green tick. And there we are, look, NetFab's fixed it. So you can export that, and that's essentially your printer file which you can send to be sliced. So that's how we can create this UK size P plus emerald gem with a 4-leaf Celtic knot pattern. And remember, in Fluid Designer you can use any sort of pattern you want here. Okay, so that's it for this video. Good luck.